Throughout the histories of Arda, there have been many prominent characters that have touched the annals of history, be that for good or for evil, or in large or small ways. Some characters affected the passage of time so subtly that it might as well be as though they never existed, whilst others shaped the very face of the world with their will. One such fair lady is Galadriel, regarded as one of the most eminent elves in Middle-earth. Her surpassing beauty, wisdom and power set her apart from nearly all others. Greetings all, I'm your guide, the Archivist. Today I will look at the grace of Galadriel, her origins, her influences on the events of Middle-earth and her final fate. Before we begin, please make sure to like and subscribe waypoints down below. Appearance and character. Galadriel, also known as the Lady of the Woods of Lothlorien, co-ruled this enchanting realm alongside her husband Celeborn. Regarded as one of the most eminent elves in Middle-earth, her surpassing beauty, wisdom and power set her apart from nearly all others. She was entrusted with Nenya, one of the 3 elven rings of power. J.R.R. Tolkien himself described her amidst the mightiest and most radiant of all the elves who remained in Middle-earth during the Third Age. Galadriel was the cherished daughter and the youngest child of Finarfin and Eowyn, both of noble lineage within the Noldor. Her family ties extended to Lúthien through her mother's cousin. Among her siblings were the esteemed Finrod, Felagund, Orodreth, Angrod and Aegnor. Additionally, Galadriel was a niece of Feanor, one of the foremost elves during the First Age. Lady Galadriel, the esteemed Lady of Lorien, was renowned for her ethereal beauty, possessing timeless features and luxurious flowing golden hair. Galadriel's unparalleled beauty, particularly her resplendent hair, garnered much admiration. Her golden locks, infused with silver, were believed by the elves of Tirion to have captured the light of the 2 trees of Valinor, Telperion and Laurelin. Some even speculate that her hair may have inspired the creation of the Silmarils by Feanor. She was also known as the tallest of elf women, standing at an impressive height of around 6 feet and 4 inches, or 193 centimeters. Given her wisdom and power, she played significant roles throughout Middle-earth's history, particularly during the time in Eregion and the War of the Ring. Furthermore, she had a preference for dressing in the most pristine white attire. In her youth, Galadriel was recognized for her prideful nature, which was, however, balanced by her noble and generous spirit. Galadriel was originally named Artanis by her father and Nerwin by her mother, which referred to her height and strength. Her name Galadriel, meaning maiden crowned with a garland of bright radiance, was given to her by Celeborn. The name Galadriel was used by those outside Lorien who were unfamiliar with the ancient days, mistakenly connecting her name with the Elvish word Galad, and the name of the Galadrim, the people of Lorien. She is referred to as the Lady of Lorien, Lady of Light, the Lady of the Galadrim, or the Lady of the Wood interchangeably. Within Lothlorien, she was simply known as Lady Galadriel or the Lady. When mentioned alongside Celeborn, they were known as the Lord and Lady. Faramir of Gondor referred to her as a mistress of magic when Frodo and Sam were with him in Henneth Annan. Powers. Galadriel possessed immense magical capabilities, including telekinesis, telepathy, clairvoyance, and ergokinesis. It is widely believed that she was the most powerful of the Noldor, second only to Feanor. During her time in the Undying Lands, Galadriel was the student of Yavanna and Aela, and she later developed a friendship with Melian the Mire. It can be inferred that she honed her powers under the guidance of these revered figures, although the nature of her magic remains enigmatic. In the unfinished tales, it is suggested that her innate abilities included extraordinary insight into the thoughts of others, approach with compassion and understanding, except for Feanor, who should perceive darkness within. This darkness, which she abhorred and feared, was also present in the minds of the Noldor and even within her own. Some believe that the majority of Galadriel's powers stemmed from her ring Nenya, the Ring of Water. However, in a 1951 letter to Milton Waldman, Tolkien asserted that rings of power could only enhance the possessor's existing powers, and not merely bestow new abilities. Furthermore, Galadriel's ability to read others' thoughts was evident from her young age, long before she acquired Nenya. In certain accounts, she was also depicted as having the power to communicate over great distances, foresee the future, and shield her mind from other formidable beings. This particular ability was closely associated with her ring, as the Silmarillion indicates that the elves could perceive Sauron's mind when wearing the rings. It is also speculated that her powers of divination may have been linked to or augmented by her mirror, which had the ability to unveil events from the past, present, and future. Galadriel's powers were so mysterious and potent that even Saruman and Elrond had difficulty understanding them. This led to doubt among the non-elven inhabitants of Middle-earth. However, it is important to note that Galadriel used her powers for good, protecting Lorien and destroying the foundations of Dol Guldur, a fortress strengthened by Sauron's magic. In addition to her magical abilities, Galadriel possessed the skill of Osanwi, enabling her to communicate through thoughts. Her wisdom was evident when she was not deceived by Sauron in the Second Age, and suggested hiding the 3 rings of Celebrimbor. Furthermore, she refrained from using the powers of Nenya while the One Ring was in Sauron's possession, using them only after the One Ring was lost. When Frodo offered her the One Ring, Galadriel demonstrated exceptional wisdom by rejecting the temptation. She understood that possessing the One Ring would inevitably lead her down the path of tyranny, much like Sauron. This demonstrated her deep understanding of the seductive nature of power and her personal limitations. The Years of the Trees. Galadriel's origins trace back to Valinor during the early years of the trees, predating the First Age. Her tale is woven with complexity, as various accounts of her are found in the unfinished tales of Númenor and Middle-earth. According to the earlier version presented in the Silmarillion, Galadriel was an enthusiastic participant in the rebellion of the Noldor, driven by her aspiration to eventually reign over lands in Middle-earth. Eager to explore Middle-earth and establish her own realm, she was influenced by Feanor's description of the land. Interestingly, she did not pledge any oaths and shared similar sentiments with her cousin Fingon, son of Fingolfin. Despite this, when separated from Feanor and his kin, she and her people refrained from participating in the kingslaying in Alcolonde, instead following Fingolfin and braving the treacherous Hel Caraxi in the far north. In the later version of her story, a significant shift occurred. Instead of siding with Feanor's rebellion, Galadriel opposed him in almost every aspect. Her newfound desire led her to forsake Valinor for Middle-earth, where she intended to unleash her talents freely. She briefly resided with her mother's relatives in Alcolonde, where she encountered her future husband Celeborn. Together, they conceived a plan to construct a ship and embark for Middle-earth. However, their intentions were disrupted by the malevolent actions of Melkor and Ungoliant, who obliterated the light of the trees. During Feanor's subsequent rebellion, Galadriel, alongside Celeborn, stood against him to protect her mother's kin and Alcolonde. Disillusioned by Feanor's brutality, she clandestinely set sail for Middle-earth without seeking Manwë's consent. The First Age. While living in Beleriand, Galadriel resided with her brother, likely Finrod, but also spent much time at the court of Thingol and Melian in Menegroth. She arrived in FA 52 and was welcomed due to her family connection to Thingol's brother Olwe, who was Galadriel's maternal grandfather. During her time in Doriath, Galadriel met Celeborn, a kingsman of Thingol. She frequently travelled to visit her brother Finrod in his realm of Nargothrond. Tragically, her 3 brothers all lost their lives in various battles during the First Age. Galadriel formed a friendship with the Maiar Melian, who sought to understand the cause of the exile of the Noldor. Galadriel briefly recounted the story to her, omitting such details as the death of Finwë, the Kingslayer at Alcolonde, and the burning of the ships at Losgor. She dwelled in Nargothrond with her brother Finrod and questioned him about taking a wife, to which he explained that his beloved had been left in Valinor, and he had taken an oath only for himself. During the major wars of the First Age, Galadriel did not actively participate as she believed that defeating Morgoth was beyond the power of the Eldar. When Morgoth was finally defeated by the Valar from the west, Galadriel, having played no part in the earlier kinslaying, was offered safe return to Valinor. However, she chose to remain in Middle-earth and was the only leader of the Noldor exiles to stay after the First Age. The Second Age. Celeborn and Galadriel journeyed to Lindon, where they governed a community of elves as a fiefdom under Gil-galad, the High King of the Noldor. After a while, they welcomed their daughter, Celebrian. Subsequently, they ventured eastward and founded the realm of Eregion, also known as Hollin, which they ruled under Gil-galad. Eregion, located west of the Misty Mountains near Khazad-dûm, prospered during this period and engaged in open trade with the dwarves. Additionally, they established contact with the Nandarin settlement in the Valley of the Anduin, which later became known as Lothlorien. When Celebrimbor assumed leadership of Eregion, Galadriel departed through the mines of Khazad-dûm. Following the demise of King Amdir and the departure of his son Amroth after the Wars of the Last Alliance, Celeborn and Galadriel became the Lord and Lady of Lothlorien. In the Second Age, the Maiar Anatar, Lord of Gifts, guided Celebrimbor and the other Noldor of Eregion into crafting the Rings of Power. Galadriel harboured immediate suspicion of Anatar, which was later validated when he was revealed to be Sauron. Galadriel advised Celebrimbor in concealing the rings, and when Eregion came under attack, she was entrusted with one of the 3 rings of the elves. Her ring was of course Nenya, the Ring of Water. Aware of Sauron's might and desiring to thwart it, she refrained from utilising the powers of her ring as long as the One Ring was in Sauron's possession. However, during the Third Age, when the One Ring was lost, she harnessed its abilities to safeguard the borders of her realm, as the powers of her ring entailed protection, preservation, and concealment from evil. The Third Age. In the saga of Middle-earth, Galadriel's kinship ties and her significant contributions are often overlooked amidst the epic tales. From being the grandmother of Elladan, Elrohir, and Arwen through her daughter Celebrian's marriage to Elrond, to her pivotal role in opposing Sauron with the formation of the White Council, her influence was substantial. Amidst the War of the Ring, Galadriel played a crucial part in assisting the Fellowship of the Ring following their harrowing escape from the mines of Moria, her provision of aid to the Eothead during the invasion of the Balkoth, by shielding them with a protective mist, and her testing when Frodo presented her with the One Ring exemplified her indelible mark on that era. In addition, her act of allowing Frodo and Sam to gaze into the mirror of Galadriel offered a glimpse into their envisioned futures, shedding light on events that were yet to unfold. This moment shed light on her resilience and strength in the face of temptation. Galadriel's multifaceted involvement in the events leading up to and during the War of the Ring illustrates her depth and complexity as a character. Before the Fellowship departed, she bestowed a gift and an elven cloak upon each member, and equipped them with boats and supplies. Galadriel moved Gimli deeply with her grace and beauty, prompting him to ask for a strand of her golden hair as a keepsake for his kin. Generously, she granted him 3 strands, a gesture that she had refused to Feanor. Additionally, she presented a Malon seed and a small box of earth from her garden to Samwise Gamgee, a green elfstone set in silver to Aragorn along with the scabbard for the sword Anduril, and a bell each for Boromir, Merry and Pippin. She gifted Legolas with a long sturdy bow of the Galadrim. To Frodo she gave a magical vial that captured the light of Erendil's star, which later aided Frodo and Sam in passing through Shelob's lair during their quest. Galadriel played a pivotal role in ensuring the success of the quest, even after the departure of the Fellowship. She summoned Gwaihir to rescue Gandalf from the peak of Celebdil, and tended to his recovery, clothing him in white, symbolising his new position as the leader of the Order of Wizards. Later, she sent messages to Aragorn regarding the paths of the dead and to the Rangers of the North, leading to the southward journey of the Grey Company. As Sauron unleashed his full might during the War of the Ring, he targeted the elves and their ancient strength, besieging many of their settlements in the north and assaulting major cities of men and dwarves. Lorien itself faced 3 assaults, but the armies of Dol Guldur retreated due to the bravery of the elves and the power of Galadriel's ring. The defeat of Sauron proved that her ring's power could only be matched by Sauron himself. After Sauron's downfall, she, along with Thranduil of Mirkwood and their elven allies, journeyed to Dol Guldur, where they demolished its walls and laid bare its pits. Later on, she travelled to Minas Tirith for the nuptials of King Elessar and Lady Arwen, and then eventually, in TA 3021, she travelled to the Grey Havens and, alongside the remaining ring-bearers, departed to the Undying Lands, her original home, after ages had passed. And so I have now covered the content for this video, but if there's anything that has been missed, please share them in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please remember to like the subscribe and like waystones down below. Nilue Govanadvan. Until we meet again.